Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial by Zebra Code. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to use Composer and PHP packages together on Windows. But before we do that, let's look at what a package is. What exactly is a package in software development? Well, in software development, a package is a group of files, folders, and resources in a computer program that can be licensed, downloaded, or subscribed to as a bundle of related products. The products that the package contains may be things like scripts, executable programs, program documentation, and README files. A package can be private or public. But why would you want to work with a package? Well, you may want to write your own package or use an existing package developed already to implement a particular task. You can get a package from a public repository, depending on the programming language that you are working with. But in this case, we are working with PHP. So the PHP program has a package repository, which is called Packagist. This is the link to the Packagist.org website. So in this tutorial, we will be working with three things: PHP, Composer, and the Packagist repository. Packagist is the main Composer repository. What does it do? Well, it stores public PHP packages that you can install with Composer. Packagist allows you to find packages and lets Composer know where to get the code from. Normally, you can use Composer to manage your project or manage the dependencies of your library. We will see how this works in a minute. Now, let's use Composer to work with PHP Packagist. To do that, we will go to our CMD command prompt and start working with Composer. We installed Composer in my last video. Now, let's go to the command line CMD to start working with it. Now, to work with Composer, let's go to our start menu or search area and type in CMD. Command prompt, open the command prompt window. I will maximize it. Now, with the command prompt window open, we can start working with Composer. First, let's type in here Composer and hit enter. Great. Now, this command opens Composer. We installed it successfully in our last video. Here, it shows the commands available for Composer. Let's scroll down a little bit. Great. There are not too many. Here, it says available commands. About shows a short information about Composer. So let's start with that. I will type in here Composer space about. Hit enter. Exactly. And here it says Composer Dependency Manager for PHP version 2.7.7. So Composer is a dependency manager tracking local dependencies of your project and libraries. And here it points us to this website, getcomposer.org. From the command line, we can use Composer to search for libraries or packages on the Packagist.org website. We can also go straight to the website to look for libraries or packages. We will use both in a minute. So this is another command that is available on Composer, search. So let's use that one here. Composer space search. And I will be looking for a package for machine learning. So I will now type in machine learning. Let me move this up a little bit. Okay. So now I have entered this command here, composer space search space machine space learning. You can also enter composer search ML and hit enter. Great. Here it shows some results for machine learning. The first one here is Rubix/ML, and it says a high-level machine learning and deep learning library for the PHP language. There are some other ones for our search results. So for now, let's look at this one here, which is Rubix/ML. So when you find a package on Packagist, it's going to be the name of the vendor. In this case, is Rubix/the package name. So in this case now is /ML, ML for machine learning. So this is how you can use Composer through the command line to search for a package on Packagist. We will use some other commands later on in this video, but for now, let's go to the Packagist.org to look at the available packages in it. So I will open my web browser. Now I am on the Packagist.org website. It says here Packagist, the PHP package repository. Now let's search for machine learning like we did through the command line just now. Machine learning, hit enter. Great, and this is the result. So on this page now, we have here Rubix/ML, and it says a high-level machine learning and deep learning library for the PHP language. This is the language that it is for. It is for PHP, and as at the time of doing this video, this library has been downloaded 696,003 times. That is going to 1 million. And this is a very popular one too. PHP-AI/PHP-ML has PHP machine learning library for PHP. And this is very popular as well. So now let's look at Rubix/ML. And on this page, it says again, a high-level machine learning and deep learning library for the PHP language. To install it, this is the command. Composer require the name of the vendor, in this case is Rubix, / the name of the package, ML. Here we can find detailed information about this package. It shows here it's been installed 696,084 times, and it's got some dependencies. So dependence 23. Here it's got its own home page, and it's got a page on GitHub. Let's explore the page on GitHub. So this is the Rubix ML /ML page on GitHub. It is a public repository. It's got 39 contributors as at the time of doing this video, and here is the installation process, the requirements, and so on. So for Composer is this same command, Composer require Ruby /ML, and you need to have PHP 7 and above to work with it. For the languages, it is 100% PHP. Okay, now I'm going to close this page and go back to the Packagist website. And here, this package, Rubix /ML, has its own home page. Let's open the home page to explore it. Great. And this is the home page for the Rubix ML package. We can go through the documentation here, go to GitHub to find out more about it, or go to Packages to find out more about it. You may want to explore this further at your own leisure. I'm going to close this page for now and return to Packagist. So the source code, you can also get the source code, issues, chart, documentation, and so on. Let's scroll down a little bit. Here it shows the latest version of this package. The requirements, it has some dependencies. So if you are working with this package, Composer will help you to download the package and manage the dependencies. All right, now that we have looked at the Rubix Machine Learning package, let's actually work with it. To do that, we will need Composer require Rubix/ml. This is the command we will need to install it with Composer. You can copy it here and return to the command prompt. Before I run the command to install it, I will go to my desktop and create a folder. Inside that folder, I will run the require command for Composer so that I will work with it from that folder. So to do that, cd desktop and space mkdir, that's make directory. What is the name of our folder? My PHP work. And cd my PHP work. What this command will do for me is it will change directory to the desktop area of my computer, and on my desktop it will make a directory and name it my PHP work, and now it will change directory to that my PHP work folder. I will hit enter. Great. Now I have done that. The next thing now is for me to run the Composer command. Composer space require space Rubix/ml. That is same as the command that I copied earlier from their website, which is this one here, Composer require Rubix/ml. So I have typed it up here manually. I don't need to paste it there. So now I will hit enter. Great, it is creating it. It is installing. Great. So the installation was successful. Here is information about the package that has just been installed with that command. Let me scroll up a little bit. And it shows here I'm using version 2.5 for the Rubix ML. That was what we saw on their website. Now let's check our folder to see if that package has actually been created. I will go to my desktop to open that folder. Great. And here it says my PHP work, which I've just created. I'm going to double click on it to open it. Great. Now we have three content here. One is a folder named vendor. The other one is a JSON file, composer.json, and the other one is composer.log. These are the three files that we have created now with that command. All right, now that we have been able to install this package in our project folder, I'm going to open it in a text editor. You can use any text editor to open your project. Now I will copy this part and go to CMD, then open Visual Studio Code. I will use Visual Studio Code as my text editor for this. CMD, it's command prompt. I just opened a new command prompt window. CD, I will paste the part that I just copied. Hit enter. Great. Now from that folder, I will say code space dot, hit enter. This one will open that project now with Visual Studio Code. Exactly. Now the project has opened in Visual Studio Code. I'll close this one. And now we have this project, my PHP work, with the three content, that is the vendor folder, the composer.json file, and the composer.log file. Let's look at the vendor folder to see what it contains. I'll click on the vendor folder. It contains many folders. It contains the Rubix folder, which is for the package that we installed, the Rubix/ml package that we installed. It also contains the autoload.php file. We will look at all of these in detail in a moment. Some of these folders are for the dependencies for the Ruby ML package that we installed. I will minimize this. And for these ones, the composer.log file, you don't really need to touch this file. Leave it as it is. It is a long file, comes with it when you install it. I will close this. The composer.json file at the moment contains the Ruby/ML package that we install. As we install more packages, they will appear here. I'm going to close this for now. Before I go further, I am going to install another package from the Packagist.org website. Now on the Packagist.org website, I will search for a package called Carbon. Nextboot is the vendor for the Carbon package. What is it? It is an API extension for datetime that supports 281 different languages and is being downloaded millions of times. I'm going to click on it. And here it says to install it, use Composer require nextboot/carbon. I'm going to copy it. Now I will go back to my command prompt cmd to install it. Now I will paste the command I just copied, composer space require space nextboot/carbon, hit enter. Great, it's been installed successfully. Let me move this one up a bit. Great, we have installed Carbon successfully. Now let's go back to VS Code to look at our application. Now I'm going to check my folder again. And here we have Carbon installed. So we have a new folder now which is for Carbon PHP. Now I will minimize this. Now let's look at our composer.json file. Exactly. Now a new package has been added to our composer.json. So we have two packages now, Rubix/ML and Nextboot/carbon. I am going to install one more package before we work with one of them. I will close this. Now I will go back to the Packagist.org website. Now I will search for a package called AWS-SDK-PHP. So we've got this AWS-SDK. The vendor is AWS, that is Amazon Web Services. Now I will click on it. And here it says AWS SDK for PHP. Use Amazon Web Services in your PHP project. To install it, this is the command. I will copy it. Now I will go back to my command line to install it. Now I will paste the command I've just copied. Composer space require space AWS/AWS-SDK-PHP. I'll hit enter. Great, the AWS package has been installed successfully. Now let's check our application again on VS Code. Now I will click on the vendor folder again. Exactly. Here it shows that the AWS package has been installed. Now we have a new package here called AWS, which means it was installed successfully. Now I will minimize this. Now I will click on the composer.json.file. Exactly. Now we have a new package added here. This time we have 3 packages that we have installed so far. So each time you install a new package, it is automatically added to the composer.json file. Now, let's use one of the packages that we have installed. To do that, I will first create a new file in my root folder, and I will name it index.php. Index.php. Hit enter. Great. Now we have a file to work with. This is a PHP file, so I will first of all add the PHP tag. Now I will add require space colon vendor / autoload. As the statement require vendor / autoload.php. This autoload file is inside the vendor folder, that's why we are adding it. Now we say use what? Use the package we are going to work with. Carbon / carbon semicolon. Now with the require vendor autoloader file added and carbon added for us to use, we can now access the features of carbon in our application. Let's print out the date with the carbon package. I will create a variable here, call it date equals carbon : now semicolon echo date. Another way we can use it for the same purpose is to use the printf statement. Printf now, then carbon : now. So when we run it now, this will print out date and time. So let's do that. Run code. Exactly. So it prints out the date and time. And for the second one, it prints now the date and time. So now that we have installed this package, we are able to use the features of this package in our application. So we have just used the carbon package in this example. Let's look at other ones to see how they work. Now I will create another file for the AWS-SDK package that we installed. In my root folder, I will create a file and name it index aws.php. So I will paste the code for that. Again, for this one, we have here the require vendor autoloader. Then use AWS /S3 client. So now we can create an object of this S3 client or use the features of this S3 client in our application. And if we look at the documentation for the AWS, it shows how to work with it. Let's look at that. Exactly, in the Packagist repository, here is a quick example of how to create an AWS S3 client using the AWS package. So require vendor autoloader.php is actually the first thing that you would want to work with there, and that is what we have just used in our example. Let me go back to our project. So we have just used this AWS SDK example. Now let's look at the third one, which was for the machine learning package. Now I will close this one. For us to use the third package we installed, that is the machine learning package, I'm going to create another file. I'll call it index.php. Now we've got another PHP file to work with, and I will paste this code here. And once again, we have the require vendor autoload.php line here. Then we use these classes inside the package. One is for the agglomerate and the other one is for the blob. So this is a piece of code that we can use from the machine learning package that we installed. So now let's look at their documentation again on the Packagist.org website. Now let's look at some code for the color cluster example. This code that we have here is for the color cluster example for the machine learning package that we have installed. The code for the machine learning package also uses require vendor /autoloader.php, and here it uses some classes inside the package, the agglomerate class and the blob class. So this is one way we can use features of the machine learning package that we have used Composer to install. One other thing you may want to do when you are working with some packages is to update them. We can run a command for that. Here I will run the command to update the package, Composer update. Hit enter. Great. Now Composer has completed the update process. It performed some tasks of upgrading and downloading packages. So this is how you use Composer to install packages from the Packagist.org website and work with the packages in PHP. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye for now.